what's going on, everybody? I'm Robert Slavinsky. Welcome to Bridging the Geekdoms. I am the host of the show. I hope you're all doing pretty good today. My guest who I was supposed to have on had something come up, unfortunately. So with that, it's going to just be me this week. And we got some cool things to talk about here. So for those of you who are new to the show, the setup is relatively simple. The first 10-15 minutes of the show consists of a few hot topics from the past week. It could be reactions, reviews, or newsworthy items to discuss. The rest of the show is then dedicated to a main topic of the week. This week's main topic will be about the one true Superman, Henry Cavill. I will be talking about his portrayal and the future of him in the DCEU, if there is one. If you happen to be watching live, which we encourage you all to watch live, feel free to comment in the live chat on the topics we're discussing to get the conversation moving. And for those of you who don't know, if you're unable to watch live, we do have a podcast feed. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, pretty much any podcatcher that's out there. You can find Bridging the Geekdoms. And we encourage you all to go follow us there, subscribe, and listen to us while you're on the road or working out or sitting at your desk at work, whatever it is. Listen to us. Support us. It's worth it. I promise. All right, so let's get into the news here. The first thing I want to talk about is The first thing I want to talk about is Taika Waititi's Star Wars, and he has finally started to talk a little bit more about this project, including who it won't have in the movie. Now, this is what he had to say talking with Total Film. Look, I think for the Star Wars universe to expand, it has to expand. I don't think that I'm any use in the Star Wars universe making a film where everyone's like, oh, great. Well, that's the blueprints to the Millennium Falcon. That's Chewbacca's grandmother. That all stands alone. That's great. That's great, though. I would like to take something new and create some new characters and just expand the world. Otherwise, it feels like it's a very small story. And this is something that I think a lot of people have been really talking about and discussing ad nauseum, it seems like, is where the Star Wars universe should go from here, because a lot of people seem to think that it has to go away from the Skywalkers. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't, but I do like this idea of expanding and exploring other avenues. I'm not against that, but I'm also for them sticking to the main Star Wars aspects. So I think that there should always be something connected back to the Star Wars saga. But while they explore other avenues, I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to this. His Thor Ragnarok wasn't great. I'm not looking forward to Thor Love and Thunder, but he did a pretty good job on The Mandalorian. He has some other great movies that have come out. He's a good writer, so I'm interested to see what he does. I just hope he doesn't bring that jokiness and same sensibility that he did bring to the Thor character, because I felt that ruined that character. But I want to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts about Taika Waititi's Star Wars project and him moving forward and bringing in new people? Let me know in the comments below. I didn't mean to do that. Let me know. I'm curious. I am curious. All right. Story number two. This one. I'm sorry. We talked a little bit about this last week. So last week we got some information via social media from Todd Phillips. He posted a picture of the Joker 2 script and showed a picture of Queen Phoenix reading the script. Now, I have been saying I don't think we need this movie. I still don't think we need this movie. The first one was not all that good. I know a lot of people like it. I know it made a boatload of money. It just wasn't for me. I don't like it. So in my opinion, we don't need a sequel. However, they're going to be moving forward with a sequel. And earlier this week, news broke stating that Lady Gaga is being courted to portray Harley Quinn in the upcoming Joker 2 film directed by Todd Phillips, with Joaquin Phoenix reprising his role as Arthur Fleck. But not only did they reveal that Lady Gaga would be possibly joining this film, but that it would have a musical flair to it as well. Yeah, I mean, come on. Okay, first off, I've heard some thoughts and ideas on this that it could be something along the lines of them doing something with Harley Quinn where her reality is more musical, while outside of her reality is just normal everyday life, which makes her crazy and helps in her falling in love with Arthur Fleck or whatever happens there. But I think that would be okay. And believe it or not, I'm probably going to see this movie just because, well, I do a podcast and I want to see comic book stuff come to screen. I just wish that the money wasn't going towards this and going towards something else, but that's besides the point. Lady Gaga, this has nothing to do with her. I think she's a fine actress. I really loved her in A Star Is Born. What else? There was something else I saw her and I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, I mean, she is not a bad actress, so it's not about her. And honestly, she may be able to portray Harley Quinn pretty well, and that's not to say that Margot Robbie hasn't done well. I just don't think that they've given her the best content for her to portray the character in. So I guess we'll see what they do with this film. We'll see how Lady Gaga does as Harley Quinn, but yeah, I think that this leaked because they were trying to engage people's excitement and interest about this. I think that it was a tactic on trying to sell Gaga on becoming the character. And honestly, I mean, when the news came out, there was some chatter for a few hours on social media, but it wasn't really all that long lasting. So I don't know if it's going to help push her into signing that contract or push her away or what have you, but it's really, really interesting to see how this is all going to play out. I'm curious to see how this all plays out if she does take on the role. And I mean, you can't deny Joaquin Phoenix. He is a good actor. I mean, he won an Academy Award for his portrayal of Joker. Look, that first movie was not a DC film. It was just a film where they were like, well, let's add the Wayne name and Gotham into it. Oh, look, it's a DC movie. That's partly why I have a problem with it, but all right, moving on. Well, let me know in the comments. I want to know your thoughts on this Joker news, on Lady Gaga, on there being a musical aspect to it. I do think that's not terribly a bad idea. I just don't think that this movie needs to be made, honestly. I mean, that's where I stand. I don't think that movie needs to be made at all. So let me know your thoughts on this Lady Gaga being in negotiations or talks to join Joker 2. The musical. I'm calling it Joker 2 the musical. I don't care what anybody else says. I'm calling it that. But I like musicals. But moving on to the next topic. Every week. This is every stinking week we have to talk about this guy. So Ezra Miller, what is he doing? He's lost his damn mind. That's what he's doing. He's losing his mind. Now, I did throw up on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and stuff like that a little clip with this here, and I guess I did kind of misspeak. A lot of people called me out. Not a lot of people. A couple people called me out on it. But here's the thing. He's not on the run. It's just the courts can't find him. Now, at a certain point, that does become a thing where he's on the run. And the reason why I say he's on the run is this post that he posted on Instagram. You can't touch me. I am in another universe. He is basically egging them on, saying, try and find me. And he knows that the court's looking for him, but he's avoiding them. To me, that means he's on the run. Like, at this point, there's no reason why he shouldn't have said, oh, I heard you were looking for me, blah, blah, blah. I'll take the papers and so on and so forth. but he hasn't as far as we know. So to me, yes, that means he's on the run. I mean, I don't know what that means for anybody else. Now, there was also this talk that he kidnapped somebody. That, though, was not 100% accurate because the person went willingly. It was that person that he supposedly manipulated over the last 5 years. Look, I talked about this last week. And with the news this week that Barbara Muschietti stated that they are close to getting the trailer's close for the Flash movie. One, it's bad timing to release a trailer. Within the next few weeks, it's just horrible timing to release a trailer for this movie. Right now, there's a stink on this film because of its star who's playing one and or multiple roles in this movie. And there's a stench that is going to hurt this movie. It's going to. I'm not saying to cancel the movie. I'm not saying that they should just release it on HBO Max at this point in time. However, I think they need to just... There's no reason to start the marketing now. The movie is a year away, literally a year away. There's no reason to start any marketing right now. They could wait until February or March of next year to start promoting this film. They don't need to do anything until then. And that is probably the best idea. And Warner Brothers needs to talk to Ezra Miller. They need to talk to Ezra Miller and tell him, like, dude, get your shit together or you're done. You're not the Flash. You're not in any Fantastic Beasts movies moving forward if we continue that. You're done with Warner Brothers if you don't get your shit together. And they need to tell him that. They need to tell him that. And if they start to see things get better, then they can revisit amping up and starting the Flash marketing campaign. But other than that, they should just wait until the beginning of next year to really consider how and when to start marketing this movie. I think that it wouldn't be a bad idea to put some kind of tag at the end or plan on shooting something small during the production of, say, Blue Beetle or whatever project is, shooting right now, and just utilize that production team to shoot a little tag that they could or could not use depending on what happens, where they introduce Wally West. So it's something that they can introduce at the end of the Flash movie as a mid-credits or post-credits scene. So if they want to do another Flash movie, they want to create a new Justice League film, they have somebody in the wings who they can utilize. And they can just write Barry off as he's off doing something else. So if Ezra Miller does get his shit together, they have a way to bring him back in. And I think that would be the best idea. And I don't know. What does everybody else think about this? Because it is a rather unfortunate event that's been going on over the last... It's almost been a year now that all this stuff has been going on. I mean, something has been popping up for the last year or so, almost every couple of weeks with Ezra Miller. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think they should just can the Flash? Do you think they should just drop it on HBO Max? Do you think that they should... They were really pushing for this to be their big summer title next year. Are they going to change their mind and say, well, maybe we should move it back to, say, February or March? And if they release it then, obviously it's not their big summer tentpole film that they're going to release. Could it be Batgirl that they release in the summer? Could it be Blue Beetle? But let me know in the comments what you think. Hit me up on social media if you want. At BridgingTheGeekdoms, you can find me there on the twits. And talk to me about it. I want to know your thoughts. I want to see what you think, because it is a very, very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate predicament that Warner Brothers is in right now. But it kind of seems like that's happening to them all the time at this point. It's absolutely insane, in my opinion. And the thing that just upsets me the most about all this, well, let's do this first. So, Restore the Snyderverse update. One of the things that upsets me the most about this whole Ezra Miller thing is this is hurting any chance of the Snyderverse being restored. I mean, say what you want. I know a lot of people are out there who want to believe that Zach will stand by Ezra Miller, and I'm not saying he won't. But Zach will stand with his cast. And from what I've heard, he is not willing to budge from his cast. So if they were to greenlight this film, or if it was even considered, every actor would have to be on board. So this does pain me. I don't want to discuss this. But like I said, the outlook is a little bleak right now. So let me just highlight some of the things that I have heard. I have heard these things. So right now I've heard that the new regime at Warner Brothers has yet to even discuss a possibility on continuing the Snyderverse. That could be because of all the changes that have been taking place and how busy Zach has been. So right now it isn't necessarily at the forefront of concern. And that kind of makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, Zaslav just came in. He's been doing some changes with upper management, trying to find somebody to head the DC brand. He doesn't have that yet. So why would they even go in and say, let's have discussions with Zach before they get a new head of DC in there who can help make decisions on where to go with the DC properties? So that's not a surprise. And Zach is really busy. I have been saying for a year and a half now that Zach is busy. He's got that Netflix first look deal. So anything that he does at Netflix will 100%. Oh, what's going on, South Cali? I am having a great day. I hope you are too. But anyways, so anything that he's doing right now with Netflix, that's going to take some time. It could, and it's not saying that he can't go work at other studios during this 3 years, but he's got ideas. He's got the Rebel Moon he's currently working on, which sounds like it's going to be a huge epic. It's probably going to be multiple films. You have the Army of the Dead series that he's doing, and then you have his Norse god animated film that he's doing with Jay Oliva. There's a lot going on in Zach's career right now. So you add that to what is going on at Warner Brothers, where they don't yet have somebody in place to run the DC properties. It makes sense that there's been no discussion yet on continuing the Snyderverse. But then you have to think of this. I've also heard that the actors, and this is just common sense, the actors are not going to wait around forever. Their careers are taking them down different paths, and even contracts will be running out soon, such as Momoa and Gal Gadot and Ezra Miller. That could end a lot sooner. But you have to remember that these actors are not getting any younger. They're getting older. They're wanting to move their careers forward. And it's now at this point, we're in 2022. It's been 5 years. Really, if you think about it, 6 years since they filmed Justice League. Yeah, they did some filming in 2017, I know, but the bulk of the filming started in 2016. So to continue that storyline, yeah, Momoa has done Aquaman and Gal Gadot has done some Wonder Woman and Ezra just did Flash, but you have to think, like, at some point they're going to just say, you know what, I'm done with being Aquaman. I'm done with being Wonder Woman. I just want to go do this. I want to do that. And maybe they won't. Maybe they will definitely come back for Zach, whether it's in 2 years or 10 years. But you can't count on that. And I have said, the longer it takes for anything to happen, the less likely it is going to happen because of the actors. And Zach isn't going to do it with anybody else. He's going to utilize his actors. And the final thing that I want to talk about here, and a lot of you are not going to like this, and I've said this quite a bit, the fandom has not made anything easy. There are a faction of people in the Restore the Snyderverse fandom who are very vocal. They are very, very vocal, but they have acted like entitled brats. They believe they are owed the Snyderverse to be continued. And that really does not help the movement at all. And that's why I always tout, stay excited, stay passionate, stay united. We have to have a united front, but we have to stay passionate and excited. We can't allow anger. We can't allow bulliness, toxicity to drive us, because that is what's going to hurt the movement. And Warner Brothers looks at that, and regardless of the positive that we did leading up to the Snyder Cut, it doesn't look good when they see these people hounding different executives. Yeah, doing the movements, doing those days where we do a hashtag for the entire day and shoot for X amount of tweets. That's awesome. That's fine. We pay to get banners. We help support the AFSP. We do this. That is all well and good. But the toxic side of things, that is what is hurting us. And the entitlement, the thought, the idea that we are entitled, that we should, no matter what, get the Snyderverse restored. That's not how it works. And that's a big issue that we are dealing with right now. But I do want to know your thoughts. I want to know what everybody thinks about the whole Snyderverse stuff, because it is really interesting. Like I said, I did hear these things directly from somebody I know who I trust. And they told me this stuff. And I sit there and I say, like, it makes sense. It truly makes sense. I want them to do it. I want them to do it sooner rather than later. But at this point in time, I think we need to be patient. Again, stay excited, stay passionate, stay united, but don't allow anger, toxicity, bulliness to guide you. Because that's what's going to hurt us. That is ultimately what is going to hurt the fandom moving forward. All right, then. So let's get into the main topic here. Now, first appearing 9 years ago, 9 freaking years ago, in Man of Steel, Henry Cavill has worn the cape with pride. However, there are many out there who look down on what he and Zack had created. So what I want to do is I want to get a discussion about Henry's portrayal. What worked, what hasn't, and if we think we will see him again, and how. With that, I am going to pitch an idea for the next solo Superman movie. So let's kind of get into it. I want to talk about what has worked with Henry Cavill's Superman over the last 9 years. And I'm going to go film by film with Man of Steel, which in my opinion is probably one of, if not the most underrated comic book movie, superhero movie to ever exist. I love how they humanize Superman and Henry Cavill's portrayal of that humanization. And it's giving the viewer an outlet to relate to a super-powered being. Essentially, that's what it does. And that is what is so beautiful about that film. And Henry just does such an amazing job because of the way that he feels, feeling lost, feeling like he's on the outside. And there's a moment for 99% of people in this world who have those feelings of just feeling like they don't belong. And the way Cavill was able to portray that, explore that within that film was absolutely beautiful. With that, it's the emotional impact that he brought to that film. There was a lot of emotion there, to his relationship with his parents, to him wanting to know more, to know who he is. It was just amazing. Real quick, South Cali says, as a DC fan, I'd love for the whole cast and crew to come back. However, as the days go by, it seems like this never-ending uphill battle, not gaining any progress. I mean, you're exactly right, man. You're right. Unfortunately, you're right. Now, with Cavill, sticking to Cavill, his performance is really the highlight of Man of Steel. And honestly, his performance is the highlight of every film that he's been in, essentially, within the DCEU. There isn't a moment in Man of Steel that I don't enjoy watching. Even the moments such as Pa Kent, dying, which is a very controversial aspect of that film. Even in that moment, I sit there and I say, wow, I get it. I understand this moment. I understand why Superman would not go and rescue his father there. I understand that is one of the most Superman things that he could have done in that moment is honoring his parents. South Cali says, if it doesn't happen, I understand and I'll be glad for what we got. But overall, I'd be upset at the lost opportunity. Warner Brothers Discovery not move forward and capitalize. Oh, we'll be upset at the lost opportunity. Warner Brothers Discovery, but not moving forward and capitalizing. Again, you're right. I mean, they should capitalize on this, but there's a lot going on with Warner Brothers and with Zack. So I say stay passionate, stay excited, but don't, temper your expectations. Temper your expectations. Now, Henry Cavill also, he brings this modernization, there we go, and realistic take on the character. And that's highlighted even more in Batman vs. Superman. Because how would the world treat an alien? How would the world look at a being like that? It would be divided. You would have people who are excited, who are in awe, who would think that he is a god. And then you would have the people who want him gone, want to kill him, want to throw him off the planet, want to get rid of him. The emotion, the heart that Cavill brings to Superman in that movie, it's crazy, because he that first movie is about him coming to the realization on who he is. Remember, the whole movie is a Clark Kent movie. It isn't until that final moment in that film where he becomes Superman. So that entire movie is about him trying to discover who he is. He finally discovers who he is. And then the planet turns their back on him. So imagine this, if you will. Imagine this. Maybe you're somebody who's done this or not, but you want to be known. You want to be seen. Maybe you work at a job and you're working your ass off and you're trying to learn your way and be the best that you can at what you're doing. And you get there. You get to that point. You're like, man, I'm doing a hell of a job here. And then they come to you. Your boss comes to you and goes, look, man, thanks, but no thanks. You're out. All that work, all that stuff that you've done to get to that point, and then all of a sudden, the person who you were trying to impress, the person who you were trying to prove yourself to, wants nothing to do with you. And that's kind of what happens here. Clark is doing everything he can to understand himself so he knows what his place is on this earth. And he thinks he figured it out. Even from Jor-El telling him, you will be their savior. You will help these people. And he thinks he's figured it out. But these people, the people that he believes he should be there protecting, are shunning him away. And for somebody who grew up as an Earthling with human emotions, the way that Cavill portrays this character through the entirety of Batman vs. Superman is exactly how it would be. And then you take a look at the real world ramifications of this film and just how everything played out. How someone like Lex Luthor would do what he did. On how, because of what Superman is capable of doing, sacrificing himself, and then the world realizing, oh shit, we need Superman. It wouldn't be such a bad idea to have a guy like him. On top of the story between him and Lois being that anchor for him, that realization that she is his world. As long as she's there, she is his world. It's such a beautiful film. And don't get me wrong, yeah, it does have its flaws. But I think most of the issues that people have with that film are not so much with Henry Cavill or with the story. Most of the issues come from the fact that this is one of the most interesting, dark, and realistic approaches to a Superman story. And that's what people don't like. People want to see the big blue Boy Scout. They want to see him coming down with his arms out, his hands on his hips, saying, hey, son, let me save that cat out of a tree. That's what they want to see. And Zach and Henry didn't want to go that route. They wanted to go a different way. And that's what I think a lot of people don't like about it. But the story is an absolutely beautiful story. If you can get past what you want to see, if you can get past that, you'll see one of the best stories a comic book movie has ever told. Now, the issues that it has kind of puts it a little lower than Man of Steel for me, but then you have Justice League. And while I'm not talking about Justice League, I'm talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League. While he's only in like the last, hour and a half of the movie, roughly, give or take. I mean, if that, I think he's got maybe 10 minutes of screen time, really. That is him being reborn. He now knows his place. He now knows who he's supposed to be. The world is now accepting of him. He has saved the world twice. And it would just be amazing to see that continuation on where his character goes from there. It would. Again, there's not much to talk about with that movie because he played it well. He played it very well, but he didn't have a lot to work with because the story, that specific movie, was not solely about Superman. It was about the Justice League. It was about getting Superman back. And then we only got him for like 10 minutes in that film. A 4-hour movie, and he was there for like 10 minutes. But regardless, it was fantastic. Seeing him there, he is essentially the trump card in the DCEU. But that's why Zach wanted to bring in someone like Steppenwolf and Darkseid, because there are plenty of villains who Superman has, but the Superman in these films, this iteration, he's pretty OP to a certain extent. And the more he learns, the more he understands his abilities and who he is and adapts. Bringing in someone like a Metallo or something like that down the line, or a Mixapitalik or something like that, wouldn't really work in Zach's vision. So I do like the idea that they went the route of going with Darkseid and really exploring that avenue. But what didn't work? So what didn't work in these films? Honestly, when I talk about Man of Steel, this is a masterpiece of a film to me. I do not see an issue with this movie at all. I can sit there, I can watch it, I can smile ear to ear the entire way through, from the story, the portrayals, the acting, the music, the editing, the pacing. Every aspect of that movie I think is perfect when it comes to a comic book superhero film. So I have nothing negative in what didn't work in that movie. I have nothing. For BVS, though, there are some issues. I think the editing and the pacing of the story was not great. And we can blame Warner Brothers for that if you want. Even the Ultimate Edition still has some of those issues there. I understand that things were changed around to add that extra half hour, and it's paced a little bit better. But I don't think it's as cohesive or as connected, say, as Man of Steel was. And don't get me wrong, I love the Death of Superman storyline, but I do understand and see the issues and idea that it was rushed here, because you do get only a film, 2 films really with Superman, and then he kills himself. Having a few more films before that point probably would have been better, but understanding the story, I don't want people to get mad at me and start yelling at me like, oh, you don't understand. No, I completely understand the story. And I'm excited and very happy with what they were doing with the story. I just think that it could have been received better had they not rushed that in this film. Not saying it doesn't work. I think it does work. But I think from a reception standpoint, this film would have been handled a lot better had they not rushed the Death of Superman story, especially when it was just not the previous Superman film, but the one before that. We just explored the Death of Superman arc in a not so great way with Superman Returns. So to me, I just feel like that is a little aspect that didn't work. And then when it comes to Justice League, I feel that the pacing, it is a great 4-hour film. I just feel like they could have shortened it up a little bit. Should have found a way to get Superman back a little quicker, to really explore his story a little bit more on being back and coming back to life. But again, it doesn't mean the movie's bad or that I don't like the movie. I just think that it could have been tightened up a little bit, really. But when do we think we will see Henry Cavill again as Superman? Well, I've been saying for a while, I'm pretty sure we're going to see him in Black Adam. I think he's going to be in a post-credit scene, or if not in a post-credit scene, near the end of the film. I believe we're going to see him in Shazam! Fury of the Gods as well. I think he's going to pop up in there. I think he's going to, similar to Black Adam, I think it's going to be the connective tissue to get to Black Adam 2 and or Shazam 3. There's going to be that connective tissue there. And then do we think we're going to get a new Superman solo film? And there's talk that David Zaslav wants to focus on Henry Cavill's Superman moving forward. And if that is the case, if that is true, then absolutely we're going to get a solo film. Absolutely. But they need to work out a deal with him first. And he's got The Witcher going on. I mean, he's been in talks to possibly portray James Bond for a while. So there's a lot of stuff going on there with him. So when could we see that? When could we see that? South Cali, Man of Steel is damn near perfect. BVS has its issues, but I don't feel that's all Zack's fault. They asked so much of him to try and catch Marvel too soon, but I do appreciate the attempt, and I agree with you on that. And I've talked about that in many occasions on the meddling that Warner Brothers did to try and catch Marvel, and then the meddling that went on behind the scenes to try and sabotage what Zack was doing. And whether you believe that or not, that's on you. But you're right. I'm not saying that the issues that BVS has is all Zack's fault. However, when I sit there and take a look at Zack Snyder's Justice League, it has the same pacing issues that I kind of have with BVS. So when it comes to my issues, that's kind of where it falls. And that would fall on Zack a little bit. Again, I'm not saying they're bad films. I enjoy the movies wholeheartedly, but I get what you're saying. I hope we definitely get, South Carolina says, I hope we definitely get a solo film with Henry again. Him being Superman again is for the most part a home run. It would be. Imagine the excitement that there would be, because even the people who don't like what Zack was creating, they've all loved Henry as Superman, and they've all said we want to see him back in the role, possibly with another writer or director. And I'm all for it. I am all for it. And I think it would be foolish of them not to go that route, especially now they canceled the J.J. Abrams stuff, and they need to find a way to really focus and bring in Superman into the fold, because I get they brought Sasha Calle in to be Supergirl. You got Michael Keaton back as Batman, but they're not Superman. And Superman should be their Iron Man, should be their Captain America, who is a guaranteed 3 to 4 films, making them $1 billion each and more, and doing more for them, and brand recognition. They just haven't done it. And it's baffling to me. Like, how can you do that? You have two of the most recognizable heroes in all of pop culture, and you don't utilize them properly. Yeah, we got the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, but that is disconnected. And you're trying to build a universe, you don't have a Batman that you can market. Just baffling to me. And then they decide to get a 75-year-old guy, or 72 or so, however old Michael Keaton is. It's just baffling to me. Absolutely baffling to me. All right. So if we were to get a solo Superman film, I know South Cali, it seems like you're still watching here. Post a comment for me what you would like to see another Superman film to be. Who would you want to see the villain? What would be the driving force? So on and so forth. I'm going to talk about mine real quick. And we're going to start with my villain. I think Brainiac. We need to see Brainiac on the big screen. We need to. It's long overdue. We've had Lex Luthor 432 times. It's time we bring in one of his most recognizable villains that isn't Lex Luthor, and that's Brainiac. And the reason why I think we need to bring in Brainiac, because we've seen Superman now go toe-to-toe, fisticuffs with someone. He's gone, with Doomsday, with Steppenwolf, with it probably would have been Darkseid, and we're going to see him go toe to toe with Black Adam. He's going to be able to go punch to punch with these people, but Brainiac's a little bit different. Brainiac isn't going to go toe to toe, isn't going to fisticuff Superman. It's going to utilize a different aspect of Superman to defeat Brainiac, and I want to see that happen. I do. I want to see it happen. And I would love for them to continue the story that Lois Lane is pregnant. And that it's his child. So Lois is pregnant. Brainiac comes to Earth after, who knows, figure out a way that maybe from what happened and all of the signals that were sent off between the Zod attack and what happened with Steppenwolf, with the mother boxes and everything, Brainiac comes in and looks to find a Kryptonian, comes across a little baby, little Clark Kent Jr. I don't know what they would name him in this. And he kidnaps him, looking to create his own warrior in a way, and utilizing the DNA from that child. And I like what South Cali here says. He goes, villain, Brainiac, or Metallo, but I don't even know how they'd introduce either and progress the story of Superman. But you have him use that DNA. And I know this is a little departure from the story, but have him use the DNA to create Metallo, working with Lex Luthor, and bring Lex Luthor back into it. I'm not saying that I don't want Lex in it, but bring him back. Kind of use that Tim Burton script a little bit, not as not verbatim, but a little bit as reference. I always liked that story where Brainiac and Luthor work together, and we've seen it in animation and comics as well. But bring that into this film, and it's about Superman possibly losing his family. Now, the question would then come, well, where's the other heroes? And that's what gets difficult. We've seen it with Marvel. You know, why is Iron Man doing things on his own? Why is Captain America doing things on his own when all these other heroes are around? And I think they could work a way around that. I think they could. But I think they should stick with Brainiac. And why not bring Brainiac and Metallo into it? I think that'd be a really cool idea. Bring them both into it. Because Brainiac doesn't die. Brainiac can always come back later. So when you do defeat him, he can come back later. But Metallo, you can have some finality there. You can kill him. You can destroy him. You can be done with him. And Lex Luthor, again, is another one who's always around. I don't know. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think it would be cool. The who, the what, the where, the how, the when. I mean, we got to figure that out. But I think it focusing more on his family, more on him wanting to become him juggling being Superman and a family man. I think it would be a very interesting and personal film to take. And again, it's about humanizing Superman. And I think that would be a great way to humanize him for the fans, the viewers, to be able to relate to him. You know, we all struggle with being working fathers, working mothers, and trying to raise children and being there for them. Why not do that with this movie? Do it where, you know, Lois has a child. We can even jump up a little bit where the kid is like 5-6 years old. He's in T-ball or something, and Superman has to struggle with making it to the T-ball game while working at the Daily Planet or wherever he's working at this point, and saving somebody's life over in Paris and making it back in time for his son's game. I think that'd be really cool. South Cali says, question, with regards to Man of Steel, do you feel those who got sent back to the Phantom Zone made it alive? Would it be possible that Jor-El's AI is still on Cal's ship, able to be recovered? Well, that's interesting. So I need to take a drink there. The ship, yes. And the AI, 100%. Now, for the Kryptonians, I would say some of them survived. Not all of them. Those, if they were in a ship, because the Phantom Zone, at least what it looked like in Man of Steel, sent you into outer space. It wasn't a planet. It wasn't anything like that. It looks like it was outer space that they got sent to. So if they got sent to space, if they're not in any kind of capsule and they're away from a yellow sun, they would probably die in space, right? I would think so. As for the AI and the ship, yeah, I think it could be recovered, and that could be a really easy way. I think I know where you're going with this. An easy way to bring Brainiac into the mix. Why not? And not only that, but Brainiac would then bring that AI back to Earth, where Clark can rediscover it and begin to learn more from his birth father, Jor-El. Dude, see, this is, I love doing this stuff. I love sitting here discussing ideas for films. I think that'd be really cool. See? Thanks, South Cali. I don't know if that's where you were going with it. It kind of sounded like it was. If not, I think it works out pretty cool that way. Oh, man. Again, for those of you who are listening or watching, I want to know your thoughts. I want to hear what your thoughts are on a possible Superman solo follow-up to what we've gotten so far. What do you want to see? What kind of villains do you want to see? Who would you like to see the villain be? All that jazz. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm kind of waiting to see if South Cali has anything else to say here. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so let's see if he has anything else to say. With that said, make sure you find us over on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all that jazz. You can follow us on Twitter at BridgingTheGeekdoms. You can go to Spoilerverse.com. You can go there. A bunch of other shows on the network, such as What's Up Podcast, which I just did a crossover episode with Deej Penhalo from that podcast. And we talked about some interesting and possibly unknown Star Wars facts. I thought it was pretty cool. And South Cali goes, that's pretty much where I was going. Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea. And it's awesome. I love that kind of stuff. But I think that's it, guys. It's always a shorter show when I'm by myself because I'm able to run through everything a lot quicker. But we will be back next week. I think I like to cover this topic once a year, and I don't think I've covered it yet this year. But I think next week we're going to cover toxicity within fandoms and maybe where some of this entitlement comes from, not just from like the Snyderverse, but Star Wars fans and DC fans and Marvel fans and all that jazz, because there is a sense of entitlement within fandom anymore. And I think we should discuss that. I think it'd be interesting to see or discuss and maybe discover where this stuff is coming from, because it's more harmful than good. If you haven't, make sure you jump over to the YouTube page. I've been doing reviews on all the Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes thus far, so make sure you check those out. Let's see. South Carolina. I was going to suggest if the AI is recovered, I wouldn't be surprised if they bring it back, so Jor-El and Lara would be back in hologram form, so Cal could introduce Lois and his child to them. That would be beautiful. You see, it's things like that. Things like that. And that's why I think sometimes they need to get fans involved with these writing and creating different films and stuff with the creative process. That's what I say. But make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, follow, share, all that jazz. Yeah, I think with all that said, guys, I think I'm going to head out of here. I'm going to get out of here next week. Hopefully Ken is back. I know he was kind of busy this week. I'm trying to get some interviews going here, hopefully in the near future. So with all that said, I guess I'll talk at all of you later.